Something that you might need to know about the next 14 years while Neptune is in Aries is that we are having a new, I'm going to air quote this, religious order being ushered in. Now, I air quote religion because that's a really loose word for what is about to happen. We're going to see a new spiritual order, a new religious order. While Neptune was in Pisces for about 14 years, we saw really a lot of deconstruction. Let's clock it, okay? A lot of deconstruction with Christianity. I know myself and the people I've been surrounded with have been on that note for a while, while also simultaneously people have been really interested in different things. Packed into a lot of deconstruction work, ancestral accountability. That's like a new wave of things in more of a, how do I say, collective space, you know? At least for, yeah. And while Neptune was in Pisces, one of the other things that was happening is that we were preparing a transition from an old spiritual religion order to now be in something different. Neptune just entered Aries. Okay, so this is like really, really fresh. It's still going to be there for 14 years, so we still have time. And something that's interesting about this transit is that because we are still in the midpoint, Neptune is going to transit back into Pisces while it's retrograde later this year. So we still have some things to kind of pick back up from that era or that space of developing spiritual gifts for 14 years and kind of figuring out the transitions. So now what we're going to see happen when it comes to order, and when I say order, I mean structure, time spent in it also. Very Saturn related for those of you who are equipped with astrological wisdom and knowledge. Hierarchy stuff also, true. We're in a time of spirituality that is a little lawless. You see a whole bunch of people, myself included, on the internet selling you information and services, and like this is also a new thing. The internet, newer still. I know that that's like a crazy concept, but it's a thing, generationally speaking. There's sometimes I'm sitting down to talk with the spirits and they're like, could you get rid of technology, please? So, you know, discernment. So that's new. And then on top of that, look at how available it has made spiritual practices to the majority of people. You can walk into a big name brand store and all of a sudden you got a Scorpio candle up in your face about things because for whatever reason someone thought it was a good idea to sell that, probably because they make a lot of money. Okay, there's a lot of money in the spiritual and religious like portion of business in the world. Crazy. Okay, and I was saying it's a little bit lawless right now because we are transitioning from old religious spiritual structures into something new. Neptune in Aries is gonna usher in an entirely new, like 167 years, I think is how long it is. 164.8, 165, okay, 165 years. I should have that memorized by now. I feel like every single time I make a video about Neptune, I gotta look it up. But anyways, this is 165 years is Neptune's orbit. So the way that the transits, the way that I track them, the way that they work is that once a planet enters something, it is gonna snowball or compound the entire time that it's in there. Now, Neptune in Aries is two different starts because it starts in Aries, yes, and that just started. So it'll compound for those 14 years, but Aries is also the beginning of the astrological wheel. So we have 165 years of compounding. I'm not going to be around that long. I don't know about you or if you got plans for something crazy, but most of us are going to be gone at that point. So the work that we're doing now is setting up a spiritual order that we're probably not ever going to see. Also crazy to me. Thinking about legacy stuff is wild. As a Scorpio Saturn ruled person, I spend a lot of time thinking about it, and it's a wild thought. Anyways, moving on. Love you death. That is true. When I say new religious order, new spiritual order, let's look at some of the ways that the other eras of spiritual order have really functioned, okay? Yeah, okay. And one thing about the relationship between Pisces and Aries, yep, the transition from the end to the beginning, I had to think about it. Pisces is the end, but it's also the beginning. It's very akin to the Fool card in tarot, where it's like things are ending and also there's beginning at the same time. And how we make the transition from the end to the beginning determines what is possible when we get to Aries. So the things that we have transitioned as a society when it comes to a new order of spiritual practices and structures being born now in the coming 14 years. We've already done the back work. We've done the back work. We've done the inventory. We've done the stocking, if you want to put it in capitalistic terms, okay, but there's a lot of different ways to say that. It's already been done. Now, when Neptune retrogrades back into Pisces at the end of the year, we are going to be taking time to kind of like It's our last moment of reevaluation. Is there anything else that needs to be transitioned? Is there anything else that I need to repeat? Is there anything else that needs to be completed? Is there anything else that needs to be fully done so that we can move on? So we're probably going to see, I didn't think about this before I started making the video, but it's true. We're probably going to see a lot of religious this stuff's trying to hold on that's not supposed to come with us, okay? Stuff that's clinging for life at the end of that Neptune and Pisces transit. Again, Neptune is in Aries right now. October 22nd is when Neptune's retrograde enters Pisces this year. A day after a new moon in Libra, which that'll be interesting. But we're on that specific transit later on because we're coming off of a Libra eclipse cycle. So anyway, that's some like really big picture stuff. Like I said, another time. And then December 10th is when Neptune goes direct in Pisces. So we've got a good month and a half at the end of this year during a harvest season and like the death and rebirth season of Scorpio, where we're gonna be going back and doing some recon. What did we work on and what needs to be continued and what needs to be ended? So just keep your eye out around that time for spiritual order that might be trying to cling to life that doesn't actually need to come with you and or with us. Okay, so returning to the new stuff that's starting, all right? Let's talk a little bit more about that. Saturn is also entering Aries pretty much at the same time that Neptune is. Neptune's already in Aries. May 25th is when Saturn gets into Aries. Saturn is about structure and hierarchy and time. Time management, how much time are you spending? It's the god of time. And Saturn is also the father of Neptune. Okay. So for a while, the father and the son, Neptune, the son, and Saturn, the father, have been at the son's house, Pisces, packing stuff up. We gotta move houses now. Literally, astrologically, they are moving houses. Congratulations, the metaphor is exact. Okay. All jokes aside. But not really. That one was kind of funny. Anyways, moving on. They've been at the kid's house. They've been at the son's house packing stuff up. Now the son is moving on. Neptune's like, let me go take the first, truckload of boxes and furniture and stuff. Let me take that over there. Saturn's like, you know what? I still got some stuff to pack up. Give me some time. I'm going to meet you over there. I'm going to meet you over at the new house. Okay, beautiful. So while Saturn is still at the end of Neptune and Pisces, we probably are going to see the completion of some hierarchical standpoints. Now, that could be initiations coming to a consecration. If you're someone who practices a practice where initiation is a thing and or you've been going through initiation, it could be that there's certain practices that are still transition. I know for myself, my altar has changed like what feels like a bajillion times, okay? Not actually accurate, but it feels like a lot since Saturn entered Pisces in March of 2023. Actually thinking about it, it has been a ridiculous number of times that my altar has shifted and changed. Not a bad thing. It was needed, but like it was a lot. So when Saturn gets into Aries, y'all be ready to work. Y'all be ready to work. Saturn doesn't play around, okay? See, I mean, like, if you earn a good relationship with Saturn, it can be, like, haha funny, but it's gonna be in the sign of birth. Think about a father who is responsible and loves his kids at a birth, okay? That was maybe a little bit dramatic, but whatever, it's the accuracy. It's the accuracy. While simultaneously, the sun, Neptune, is the one who the birth is happening. New spiritual order of things is happening. Neptune's transit 14 years. Saturn's going to be there for about 3 years, both in Aries. So at the beginning of this 14-year era of Neptune and Aries, we have the dad, Saturn, coming in to say, okay, well, this is what needs to be built. These are the hard lessons. This is what you can earn through the years. Because again, it's time. Saturn is time. So if we're looking at, this is a great setup for success in like 100 years of spiritual orders that we could birth as a society. The cards are being given to us for things to be stacked in our favor as long as we play the cards well, because it depends on our decisions, right? And that's just the truth of things. This is also related to Pluto and Aquarius, but we do not have time in this video, so I'm probably going to make a part 2. I'm also currently in the middle of writing an update on my Substack, so if you want to go check that out, it hasn't been published yet, but it'll be published soon. And catch me in a part 2 very soon in this video. I'll see you there. And gratitude, reverence, and love to you. Hold on, let me finish the video because that's what I always say at the end. Gratitude, reverence, and love to you. Keep up the brew. Keep doing what you need to do. I will too. And I'll talk to you soon. Very literally. Yeah.